Welcome back to the deep dive.
Hey there.
Usually when we sit down to go through a stack of sources together, we are looking at things like, I don't know, market trends or maybe a historical event.
Right, or some sort of new scientific breakthrough.
Exactly. But today feels really different.
It does.
I have this stack of documents in front of me, and it feels less like a research paper and more like evidence in a police procedural.
Yeah, it really does have a noir quality to it, doesn't it?
It totally does.
Yeah.
We are looking at the SAR vetch logs and specifically the vehicle log entry SAR 2026.
Which is just raw data. It is unpolished and very immediate.
Right.
We aren't looking at global abstractions today. We are zooming all the way in to a very, very specific slice of reality.
The streets of Thiruvananthapuram.
Exactly. Specifically focusing on the corridor along the NH66 service road and the Chakai Highway.
And the time frame we are looking at is actually super tight, too. We're talking about a window right between December 2025 and February 2026.
Just a couple of months.
Yeah. And what grabs you immediately, and I mean right from the file names, honestly, is that this is not a standard traffic report.
Oh, definitely not.
You know, usually traffic data is just boring.
Mm-hmm.
It is volume. It is congestion. It is, people drive slower in the rain.
Right, the mundane stuff.
But this data,
Mm-hmm.
this is documenting something else entirely.
Exactly. If you look at the metadata for these logs, it starts out routine. Like December looks fairly normal.
Just everyday traffic.
Yeah. But then right around the turn of the year, entering 2026, the dashboard basically starts flashing red.
Big time.
We see this phrase, level 4 to 5 severity, appearing over and over again in the logs.
Let's actually unpack that for a second, because in the world of traffic analysis, level 1 is like a fender bender or a broken taillight.
Right, a minor inconvenience.
But what exactly is level 5?
Level 5 is an active, imminent threat to public safety.
Wow.
Yeah, it is the difference between bad weather and a full-blown hurricane.
Okay, so the mission for our deep dive today is to really understand that shift.
Absolutely.
We need to figure out how a series of boring traffic logs suddenly revealed a pattern of what the report literally calls organized road provocation.
And that word organized that is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
It changes the whole context, doesn't it?
It really does. We aren't talking about one guy having a bad day and cutting someone off in traffic.
No. The data suggests we are dealing with a system.
A very intentional system.
Like potential gang activity, specific tactical maneuvers, and this cast of characters that seem to be treating the highway like a hunting ground.
That is the perfect analogy. It is an ecosystem of intimidation out there.
Yeah.
And to really understand it, I think we have to look at the numbers first.
Let's do it. What are we looking at?
We have a total of 124 responses in this specific data set.
Okay.
You have 91 from the earlier routine logs, and then 33 from this high-severity 2026 batch.
And the contrast in tone between those two batches is just wild.
It is night and day.
The early stuff is just noise, right?
Yeah.
Traffic flow, people commuting to work. But the 2026 entries...
The vocabulary completely shifts.
Completely. It is no longer traffic jam. It is reckless conduct, surveillance, and organized activity.
One of the most telling metrics here, and this is something that really highlights that crime scene vibe we were just talking about, is the visibility data.
Oh, I love this part. You know how much we love a good specific metric on this deep dive.
Oh, absolutely. The license plate clarity score.
Right. Talk about the clarity score.
Okay, so in the early logs, the average clarity rating for license plates captured by the surveillance cameras was 4.52 out of 5.
Which is crystal clear.
Crystal clear. You can read the numbers, you can see the state code, the cameras are working perfectly fine.
But then what happens?
When we switch to the severe 2026 logs, that average drops to 3.34.
That is a massive statistical drop for a camera system.
It is huge.
And I checked the weather reports for Thiruvananthapuram for those specific dates. It wasn't foggy, it wasn't monsooning.
No, the drop is entirely artificial.
The logs are really explicit about this too.
They note obscured or missing plates and the widespread use of darkly tinted windows.
Right.
This is intentional obfuscation. Think about it. If you are just a terrible driver, you don't necessarily tape over your license plate.
No, of course not.
If you are late for a meeting, you don't hide your face behind an illegal tint.
It is active camouflage.
Exactly.
You hide because you don't want to be identified.
Precisely. It signals intent. And when we look at the demographics of who is actually doing the hiding, it busts a lot of myths.
I think when people hear the phrase road rage, they immediately picture commercial vehicle.
Right, like a taxi driver fighting for a fare.
Or a delivery truck on a tight deadline. That was my assumption going in. Stress equals aggression.
But the data says no. While there is a mix, it is about 30% cars and 30% bikes. The commercial sector is not the primary antagonist here.
Not at all.
A staggering 78.8% of the suspicious vehicles in the 2026 log were private transport,
So these are personal cars, personal motorbikes.
often with just one or two occupants inside.
So this isn't business, it is personal.
Or it is a very different kind of business entirely.
Well, let's talk about the staff of this business.
Let's do it.
Because the logs actually give us a sort of rogues gallery. They name names, or at least registration numbers.
Right.
They're recurring characters in this drama.
There are, and this is where the surveillance aspect really kicks in.
Yeah.
If you see a car once doing something weird, it is a random event.
Sure.
But if you see the exact same car doing the exact same maneuver at the same time every single day,
That is a pattern.
that is a pattern.
Hmm.
And the most prominent one in these logs is a vehicle with the registration MH03BX939.
The frequent flyer.
That is the one. This single vehicle accounts for nearly 10%, 9.7% to be exact, of all the 2026 logs.
That is an enormous statistical anomaly for one single car in a city of millions.
It is crazy, but look at the timestamp data for it. It appears frequently between 3:21 p.m. and 4:42 p.m.
That is a shift.
Yeah,
That is not running a quick errand. That is patrolling.
it suggests a routine. This driver is working a beat. But while the MH car seems to be kind of a solo operator, the logs also identify coordinated groups.
Right. There is a very detailed section on what the logs call the biker gang.
Yes.
And the descriptions here get pretty visceral. We are talking about specific models of bikes.
KTMs and Pulsar NS200s?
High-performance, agile bikes.
Exactly. The logs describe them as a possible match of the same gang, and their behavior is very distinct.
They aren't just speeding, are they?
No, they are weaponizing the bikes. They use a specific tactic that the logs call the lane-weaving tackle.
That sounds like a football move. What does that actually look like out on the road?
Okay, imagine you were driving along. Suddenly, a bike cuts across your lane at high speed just inches from your front bumper.
Terrifying.
It forces you to slam on the brakes, and then immediately another lake weaves in right behind you.
The logs use the term airbrushing for this.
Yes.
Airbrushing. That is such a creepy way to put it.
It means they are getting close enough to physically paint your vehicle with their presence. It is a pure dominance move. It is designed to induce panic.
And they look the part, too.
Oh yeah, the logs mention illegal high-decibel exhausts to completely disorient you with noise.
And often missing or inadequate helmets.
Right. They want you to know they are breaking the rules. They want you to feel that chaos.
So you have the chaotic energy of the bikers, but then on the other end of the spectrum, you have a group that seems colder.
Much more calculated.
The logs refer to them as the event management team.
This one fascinated me. We are talking about two Innova Cristas.
Big cars.
Big cars. And they are marked with these event management stickers.
Which is brilliant camouflage, right?
Yeah.
You see a sticker like that on a big car and you just think, oh, they are heading to set up a wedding.
Exactly.
You do not think they are stalking me.
It totally lowers your defenses. But their tactic is purely predatory.
Oh,
The data shows they don't weave around chaotically like the bikers do. They use what is called target acquisition.
Okay.
They drop back, they wait, and then they aggressively overtake you in pairs. Yes, it is a wolf pack tactic. They box you in.
That is incredibly stressful just to think about.
Yeah.
Being boxed in by two large SUVs on a fast highway completely removes your agency as a driver.
You have nowhere to go.
And that is the point, right?
Control. Total control.
There are a few outliers in this gallery, too. Characters that don't neatly fit into the big groups, but are just as dangerous.
Right.
There was a description of a scooter driver that honestly felt like it was written by a novelist.
Oh, the TVS scooter.
Yes.
The driver is specifically noted for having a, quote, roadie-style beard and an inadequate partial helmet.
And significantly, the scooter is missing the front plate entirely.
He is noted for hazardous weaving in and out of traffic. Just a wild card.
And then there is a Maruti mentioned, right? The one that looks like it has been in a war zone.
Yeah. The logs describe it as having body filler patches all over it.
Which really implies it has been in accidents before. Probably multiple accidents.
It is described as highly erratic, swerving blindly into active traffic.
It is essentially a battering ram on wheels.
Pretty much.
The logs also flag a specific list of high-priority plates.
Right. We have KL62, F87-1,
And KL01BC493.
and KL01D716.
And that last one was actually flagged despite the visibility being heavily obscured. Which tells you the monitoring system is getting smarter.
It really is. They are connecting the dots even when these drivers actively try to hide.
Okay, so we've got the cast of characters.
Mhm.
We know who is out there causing the problems.
Right.
But the part of this deep dive that really blew my mind, the thing I just cannot stop thinking about, is the how.
The methodology.
Yes, because this isn't just random road rage. There is a strict behavioral script they are following. The report calls it the 15-minute pattern.
This is the core insight of the entire investigation.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this and you drive in Thiruvananthapuram, this is the single most important thing you need to memorize.
Pay attention to this.
It defines the tactic. It turns what looks like random events into a literal surveillance operation.
So it is a 3-step sequence, right?
Yeah.
Walk us through it. Step 1.
Step 1 is the first pass. Let's say it is that MH car or maybe the biker gang. They overtake you.
Okay.
Maybe they cut it a little close. Maybe they are speeding, but they pass you and they just keep going.
So to me, the driver, the threat is gone. They are ahead of me.
Exactly. You relax, you think it is over, but then comes step 2,
The wait.
the wait. The subject vehicle pulls over. The logs literally call these unusual stops or wait zones.
And they aren't stopping to get coffee.
No. They aren't checking Google Maps. They are pulling into a lay-by or a petrol pump specifically to let you get ahead of them again.
Which sets up step 3.
Re-engagement. Approximately 15 minutes later, that exact same vehicle reappears behind you to engage you again.
That is chilling.
It is.
That implies they are actively tracking you. They let you pass just so they can hunt you down again.
It implies surveillance intimidation, or perhaps they are waiting for a very specific location to stage a confrontation. The evidence for this is overwhelming, too. 80% of the pattern recognition responses in the logs indicated unusual stops or circuitous routing.
So they aren't trying to get to a destination at all.
No, they're just swimming in the traffic, circling back, waiting.
It completely changes the way you look at your rearview mirror.
It really does.
You usually assume the car behind you is just a new car that merged onto the road.
Yeah.
But this suggests you need to remember who passed you 10 miles ago.
It demands a level of situational awareness that most of us just do not use on a daily commute.
So if they are stopping and waiting, the logs must know where they are doing it right.
They do. And this is critical intel for anyone driving there.
Okay.
The logs actually map out a heat map of risk.
Where is the worst spot?
The primary location for that re-engagement the moment they come back at you is the Inchakal service road, specifically the Mudathara-bound side.
Okay, so if you are on that road, you need to watch your 6.
Absolutely. And we know exactly where they hide before they strike.
Where?
There is the IOCL petrol pump at Valakadavu. Okay.
The logs describe it as a tactical gap location.
Gap location.
Yeah, the Innovas, for instance, really like to sit there. It gives them a very clear view of the highway, so they can time their re-entry perfectly to slot right in behind a specific target.
It is like a sniper's nest, but for cars.
In a tactical sense, yes, exactly. Then you have the Chaka Highway underpass.
Right.
That is identified as a point of origin. That is where the chases very often start.
And there were other spots too, right?
Yeah. We also have confirmed stationary monitoring points at the Jubilee Memorial Hospital underpass and the Kipi Sios sales outlet.
You mentioned stationary monitoring. There was a stat in the notes that I actually circled because it seemed so odd for a standard traffic log.
Which one?
It said 27.3% of the 2026 logs involve stationary vehicles.
Yeah, that is a huge percentage.
In normal traffic data, cars move. That is the whole point of traffic.
Right.
If over a quarter of your threats are just sitting parked on the side of the road watching, that totally confirms the surveillance theory. They are spotters. They are sitting there relaying information to the other drivers.
Like blue sedan passing marker 1, that sort of thing.
Exactly. It creates a net.
Let's talk about timing.
Yeah.
Because if this is a highly organized operation, they probably have office hours, right?
They do. The logs break this down into what they call the rush hour of risk.
And there are 2 main windows.
Very distinct windows. The first is the afternoon window, which is roughly 2:45 p.m. to 5:00 p.m.
And based on the vehicle data we discussed, this is prime time for the heavy metal.
Correct. This is when the private cars, the Innovas, that recurring MH03 BX939 vehicle, they are most active right then.
Okay.
The absolute peak intensity for that 15-minute gap pattern is specifically between 3:00 p.m. and 4:00 p.m.
So mid-afternoon, the risk is this calculated surveillance from the cars, but then the sun goes down and the whole profile changes.
Yes. Then you hit the evening critical window.
Which is when?
8:00 p.m. to 9:00 p.m.
Okay.
The overall danger level really spikes here, but the nature of the threat completely shifts. This is the domain of the biker gang.
The KPMs and the pulsars.
Yes, and it is exceptionally dangerous for two reasons.
Yeah.
First, just the pure aggression of those lane-weaving tackles in the dark.
Right.
But secondly, visibility, it is nighttime. These bikes often have missing or heavily obscured plates.
So you can't even see them coming in your mirrors until they're right on top of you.
Exactly, and you can't identify them when they speed off into the night.
There was a specific incident mentioned in the logs for February 7, 2026.
Right. A very distinct recurrence pattern was noted on that date at roughly 8:18 p.m.
Wow.
It seems to be a highly preferred operational time for these specific groups.
Why that time, though?
Think about it. It is late enough that general traffic is thinning out, allowing for much higher speeds, but it is early enough that there are still plenty of civilian targets on the road.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we have covered the who, the where, the when, and the how.
It is a lot to take in.
It is. But the most important question for the listener, especially if they're driving these specific roads in Thiruvananthapuram, is what do I do?
Right. Well, the logs actually provide very specific response protocols.
Okay.
They issue a below on the lookout, but they also offer actual defensive driving advice. And the first rule is honestly the hardest one to follow.
Which is that?
Do not engage.
Oh, man. It is so hard, though. When someone cuts you off or airbrushes your car,
Yeah.
your immediate instinct is to honk or flash your lights or, speed up and not let them in.
You want to assert your space.
Exactly.
But that is exactly what they want. They are actively looking for a reaction. They are provoking you on purpose.
So just take it.
The data shows that 68.4% of drivers who successfully avoided escalation did so by simply not interacting at all.
Wow.
Don't honk, don't yell, don't try to block them, be a ghost.
Deny them the conflict entirely.
Exactly. If they can't get a reaction from you, they very often just move on to an easier target.
Okay, what is the second piece of advice?
It is about those wait zones we talked about. If a flagged vehicle, say that MH car, passes you and then pulls over into a lay-by,
Do not pull over behind them.
never. That plays right into the 15-minute pattern. You keep moving.
Right?
In fact, the logs suggest changing your route entirely if you spot this happening. They explicitly recommend using the main highway elevated sections instead of the service roads.
Why the elevated section specifically?
It is simple geography. The service roads are where all the traps are.
Ah.
The petrol pumps, the underpasses, the side streets where they can hide and wait. The elevated highway completely bypasses all of those tactical gap locations.
It is a chute.
Yeah.
Once you are on it, you are way harder to track and much harder to stalk.
It physically removes you from their hunting ground.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
It is really good to know that this isn't just us reading a PDF and freaking out in a studio. The logs do mention the investigation status.
Right. Someone is definitely watching the watchers.
Yes.
They really are.
Yeah.
This is clearly an active intelligence operation. The logs state that 97% of these observed patterns have been uploaded and saved to a central database.
That is a lot of data.
And even more importantly, 51.5% of them have been specifically flagged for pattern tracker analysis and directly notified to law enforcement.
So the authorities definitely have this data. They know all about the MH car. They know about the biker gang.
They have the plates, they have the times, and they have the exact locations. This is not going unnoticed.
The fact that we even have these logs proves that the surveillance is finally working both ways.
Exactly.
Taking a step back for a second, this deep dive really challenges the way we generally view driving.
How so?
Well, we usually think of traffic as just pure chaos, just random atoms bouncing off each other on the asphalt.
Yeah.
If I get cut off, I assume the guy is just a jerk. I don't assume he is part of a coordinated system.
But that is the scary realization here, isn't it? This is a system.
Yeah.
It is a quantified, highly organized ecosystem of provocation. It has geography, it has a set schedule, it has employees.
It is almost like a business operation, just a very illegal one.
Exactly.
And for you listening out there, that changes the game. You aren't just looking for potholes or brake lights anymore. You are looking for patterns.
You are basically engaging in civilian counter-surveillance. You are checking your mirrors, not just for clearance to change lanes, but for actual recognition.
Did that car pass me 15 minutes ago?
Why is that bike missing a front plate?
Why is that Innova just sitting parked at the pump?
Right. It sounds a little paranoid when you say it out loud.
It does sound paranoid.
But it is not paranoia if the data completely supports it. With 124 responses and very clear severity spikes, it is just good situational awareness.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, though, I have to ask the one question that the logs do not actually answer.
The motive.
Yes. Why? What is the actual end game here? We have Highly sophisticated tactics,
Yeah.
military-style target acquisition coordinated teams, all for what?
That is the million-dollar question right there. The logs identify the behavior perfectly, but they leave the underlying motive completely blank.
Could it be insurance fraud? We see that a lot in other countries.
Hmm.
You purposefully cause an accident just to claim the payout?
It is a very strong possibility. The lane weaving and airbrushing tactics are classic setups for forced collisions.
Right.
You force the target to swerve and either hit you or hit someone else on the road.
Or is it robbery? Is the unusual stop a setup for a planned ambush further down the road?
Yeah.
You track a target until they reach a dark, isolated spot.
Also very possible. Or is it something else entirely that the traffic logs just haven't captured yet?
Like what?
Maybe it is a territorial dispute between rival gangs and the civilian cars are just unknowingly getting caught in the crossfire.
Wow.
Or maybe they're moving something illegal through the city and these aggressive drivers are just the escort vehicles actively clearing the path.
That is a really disturbing thought.
Yeah.
That we might just be mere obstacles in someone else's illicit operation.
It is disturbing, but the precision of it all, the 15-minute gap, the coordinated shifts, the specific recurring vehicles, it strongly suggests profit or power.
Right, people don't organize at this level just for the quick thrill of it.
No, there is a larger goal. We just do not know what it is yet.
Well, on that cheerful note, we're going to wrap this up. To everyone listening, especially if you are driving in Thiruvananthapuram, near the Chakai or Inchakal corridor today,
Keep your eyes wide open.
watch your mirrors, use the elevated roads whenever you can, and if you happen to see MH03BX939,
Just keep driving. Do not engage.
thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We will catch you next time.
Stay safe out there.